One of the most asked questions I receive is, what is an attachment style? It's becoming a popular dating topic on social media, so let's break it down so it's easier to understand. My name is Jason, and this is Life and Breath Coaching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on more valuable messages just like this one. Keep in mind, this is just an overview, and Life and Breath is coaching. Think of it like an introduction minus all the hard to understand jargon. The reason we talk about attachment styles is for you to learn more about who you are, how you give and receive love, as well as relate to other people. We often see people use this type of information to figure out or fix or change their partner, and that is never a good idea. Remember, it's not your job to fix or change anyone, but it is your job to focus on learning more about how you operate, as well as how do you give and receive love, and how do you relate to other people. This is about self-awareness and self-discovery, which can lead to self-confidence and a more secure attachment style. From the time you were born, your attachment style is developed and shaped by the level of care you received from your parents or your caregivers. Caregivers being whoever raised you. Your attachment style is the forming of an emotional bond between you and your caregivers. There are different levels of care that can occur in your infancy, and if your caregivers are attentive and reliable, you may form a more secure attachment style. If your caregivers are not as attentive, insert your story here, and do not consistently meet your needs, this can result in a more insecure attachment style. Please understand, your attachment style isn't fixed and can naturally change over time through a change in circumstances, and of course through going to therapy and doing the inner healing work. So what causes an insecure attachment style? Number one, your caregiver was distracted by external circumstances or problems. Number two, your caregiver suffers from mental health issues themselves. Number three, your caregiver worked all the time. Number four, your caregivers have insecure attachment styles themselves and lack self-awareness. You had a need that you were unable to meet for yourself because you were too young, and due to the inconsistency, you developed an insecure attachment style. If you have an insecure attachment style, love doesn't necessarily feel safe. Intimacy to an avoidant doesn't feel safe, while someone with an anxious attachment style is always seeking validation and security in someone else. And for our purposes today, the three main attachment styles are secure, anxious, and avoidant. There are other variations and levels to attachment rooted in your personal experiences, but we're keeping it simple as an introduction. What does each attachment style look like? Let's get into it. People with a secure attachment had a fair amount of confidence in their caregivers' ability to meet their needs because they developed and cultivated that trust. This allows them as children to explore their world, feel supported, and develop good emotional regulation skills. They are good with boundaries, communication, and recognizing when something isn't for them. People with an anxious attachment style are often characterized as anxious, clingy, dependent, and ask for constant reassurance from their partners that they still love them and aren't going to abandon them. They may feel anxious and emotionally dysregulated in relationships, often looking for evidence that the other person doesn't love them, or signs that they may leave the relationship. And this often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, as the anxious attacher makes the other person responsible for their emotions. Keep in mind, you can still be anxious and not have all these characteristics. Next up is avoidant attachment, which is also an insecure attachment style. If you don't have a secure attachment, you have an insecure attachment. This isn't blaming you, it's just an awareness of you. The avoidant doesn't trust easily, and you will hear them say exactly that. They learned very early on that people close to them cannot always be counted on, physically, mentally, or emotionally. The avoidant will create distance when they are feeling emotionally overwhelmed, like after a great long weekend together. Avoidants are also very hyper independent and worry their independence will be taken away. But keep in mind, the avoidant is human, they do love, but if you can gain their trust and be a secure base, they can love you very deeply. Again, this isn't every avoidant, so get that binary thinking out of your head. The reason we learn about attachment styles is so you can have a better relationship with yourself, create healthy boundaries with yourself, and learn what your goals, values, and standards are for a relationship with you. When you do this, you are well on your way to a more secure attachment style. And you may find that the more you learn, the more confident you become as you begin to trust yourself, and you will end up choosing different partners because of that. Partners that are more in alignment with a secure attachment, or you learn that you can love someone with an insecure attachment by not taking their behavior personally and recognizing where that behavior is actually coming from. Don't get it twisted. This isn't excusing bad behavior. Do hold them accountable and hold your boundaries, but an insecure attachment style isn't necessarily a deal breaker. But problematic, consistent negative behavior is. We can learn to love people as they are, be a safe space for their emotion. When we do, we give that person permission to show up as their true selves. And that can be the greatest relationship that you ever have. If you got value from this message, hit the subscribe button and sign up for the newsletter. And one-on-one coaching is available in my Stand store. Thanks for watching.